Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a huge global paradox. How can a region that's basically the world's breadbasket, feeding people all over the planet, also have millions of its own people struggling with food security? We're going to unpack the incredible agricultural potential of Latin America and the Caribbean and try to figure this out.
So let's start with a number, 25%. That's how much of all exports from Latin America and the Caribbean come from agriculture, a full quarter. And you gotta remember, this isn't just about crops, it's about people's jobs. In some of these countries, farming is the main gig for almost a third of the entire workforce.
And this whole operation, it isn't just a big deal for the region, it's a global powerhouse. Seriously, think about your coffee this morning, or the sugar you use, the soybeans in so many products. There's a really good chance they came from here. The region is the single largest net food exporter on the entire planet. It is quite literally the world's breadbasket. Okay, and that's what makes this so wild. If you're the world's breadbasket, how is it possible that almost 250 million of your own people are facing food insecurity? It's not just a little disconnect. It's this massive contradiction right at the heart of our global food system. So what is really going on here? Well, the answer to that huge question, it really starts with one single powerful idea. This is the secret key to unlocking all that potential and solving this puzzle. It all comes down to productivity. So what in the world is total factor productivity, or TFP? Honestly, the best way to think about it is like a recipe. You can always make more food just by buying more ingredients, right? That's growing by adding inputs. But TFP, that's about having a better recipe. It's about using the same ingredients to make something way more delicious and valuable. It's all about innovation and efficiency. Now, check this out. This graph shows something pretty incredible. Since 1961, the total agricultural output, that huge bar on the left, has just absolutely skyrocketed. But then look at the bar right next to it. That's the inputs, land, labor, stuff like that. It's barely budged in comparison. So that huge gap between what they put in and what they get out, that's TFP. That's the magic. It's been the quiet engine behind almost all the region's growth for more than 60 years. And this brings us to a really important moment. The old way of doing things, what you see on the left, just throwing more resources at the problem to try and grow, well, that's hitting a wall. The future, the only path that really works long-term, is on the right. It's not about farming harder, it's about farming smarter. All the future growth, it has to come from productivity. So, the big question is, how do you actually get more of this smarter farming? How do you crank up TFP for a whole region? Well, it doesn't just happen. It happens when governments make smart choices and start pulling the right levers to create an environment where new ideas can really take off. You see, governments in the region face this choice with pretty much every dollar they spend. They can go with the stuff on the left, short-term fixes like subsidies that kind of mess with the market and can actually stop people from innovating. Or they can take the path on the right, investing in public goods. We're talking about the building blocks, like research, good rural roads, and farmer education that help everybody and create real, lasting growth. And the difference this choice makes, it's honestly staggering. Get this. Research shows that just by shifting 10% of the money, which is a pretty small change really, away from those market-distorting subsidies and over to public goods, you could get a 5% jump in agricultural value. Just think about that for a second. That is an absolutely incredible return on investment. And just so we're clear, this isn't some abstract idea. Investing in public goods means real, tangible things. It's scientists developing tougher crops. It's farmers getting training on new techniques. It means better roads so you can get food to market before it spoils, and digital banking so everyone can get the loans they need to grow their business. Of course, farming doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? Domestic policy is super important, but the region's success also depends on how it plays its cards on the global chessboard of trade and competition. So this chart kind of lays out the two big players in the region's trade, the US and China. But they want totally different things. The US market, it's all about more complex, higher value products. China, on the other hand, just wants huge amounts of raw materials, like soybeans. Trying to navigate between these two giants without getting too dependent on either one, that's a huge strategic challenge. But here's the thing. There's this massive opportunity that gets overlooked all the time, trading within the region itself. Instead of shipping stuff halfway around the globe, countries in Latin America and the Caribbean could build a stronger, more self-sufficient food system just by trading more with their neighbors. It could mean lower food costs for their own people and a much more powerful economic team.
Okay, so let's put it all together. We've talked about the productivity puzzle, the power of good policy, and the whole global trade game. So what's the actual game plan? Well, it's not a single silver bullet. It's a whole integrated strategy.
So here it is, the 4-part recipe for success. First, you've got to be laser focused on boosting productivity with new tech. Second, you fuel that innovation with smart public investments in things like research and roads, not wasteful subsidies. Third, with that strong foundation, the region can diversify its trade, especially by building up those partnerships with its neighbors. And finally, the crucial fourth ingredient, you have to weave sustainability into every single step to make sure this growth is built to last. And that really is the ultimate question we're left with, isn't it? The potential here is absolutely immense. But to unlock it, you need a whole new strategy. It's about finally solving that paradox of being the world's supplier while your own people are hungry. And if the region can get this right, it won't just feed itself. It could become the model for a sustainable and secure food future for the entire world.